Yeah, I think I'm going to answer a slightly different question. What do we know works about teacher learning and the development of practice as a result of teacher learning? And that's where there's been growth in the field. So there has been research which now looks at what's the relationship between what the teacher learns and how they learn and what students learn. And of course that connection is the central one. That's the essential connection between how does what I know as a teacher help my students learn better in the classroom. And I think this is probably one of the biggest contributions of the book, in that what we've tried to do in the book is to condense that research and say, so what does work? One of the things we know is that it works if it's situated. So teacher professional development or teacher learning that mostly happens outside of the school or pays no attention to the school or no attention to the classroom is not going to have very much impact on practice. Second thing we know is it's best undertaken with other colleagues. So if I'm learning with my colleagues in a collaborative group, in a cooperative sort of learning community, that's going to have the most impact on practice. If we're planning together, if we're looking, and we're now learning that this is important, if we're looking at how we assess student learning and looking at how that relates to what it's teaching me as a teacher. So when I'm assessing my students' learning, not just am I measuring what they're learning, but what's it telling me about my teaching? I think we're also learning about the conditions in the school and the creation of conditions in the school for learning. So appropriate leadership of learning, school leaders at all levels, teacher leaders, being aware that professional development needs to be tied into what's happening in the school. So there needs to be a plan. The teacher needs to have a plan, and it's a plan that's relevant for them. A plan that they're going to work on progressively, rather than the sorts of practices we've seen which are, let's have a generic course for everybody in the school today. And so the reduction, if you like, to the lowest common denominator, that's maybe doing a disservice. But what's the one topic we can all talk about together is not likely to have much impact on practice. It's too generic. And it's not followed up, it's not planned for, it's not followed through, and it's not made really relevant to teachers. So situated, collaborative, integrated into school practices, those are the sorts of things that help. And I think the other big learning has been around the role of teacher as inquirer or researcher. When teachers are given opportunity, support to inquire quite systematically into their practice, we know that is a very powerful vehicle for teacher learning. And then even better if they're given the opportunity to actually follow through on what they're finding out and actually take that into practice and implement some of those learnings.